So in this final short video, we're going to explain how you can create and use a county-specific base case so you can test things that are more relevant to your particular county or local authority. And why might you need to do this? Well, remember that the study was commissioned by 12 county councils, and although they had very different situations, very different numbers of residents and homes and very different fee rates and so on, nevertheless, they had a set of common concerns about the affordability of what they would be obliged to do as a result of the Care Act. So that led us to project future outcomes for this market on the basis of some common base case assumptions. And those assumptions were, for example, concerning likely fee rate and cost inflation. Fee rates were assumed to increase from 2014 by 2% a year, and operating costs for care homes were assumed to go up at 3% per year. There were assumptions that the mix of people who pay for the care, that's the separation between people who pay for their own care and the numbers of people paid for by the local authority, would actually stay the same going forward from 2014, and the actual care needs of each age group would also not change from 2014. Now, having set those common base case assumptions, that allows the County Councils network to compare standard impact scenarios between the different councils. However, any particular council, or indeed any other local authority in the country, may have unique local conditions and may already have planned policy changes that make it necessary to change the common base case. So in order to assess the impact based on more relevant local information, you may need to create a local base case that is different from the base case assumptions that we set up in the spreadsheet. Now, in summary, this is how you go about creating a county-specific base case. And the first thing to emphasise very, very strongly indeed is to make a copy of the whole spreadsheet that you've been sent. And you might call it something like County X local base case model. That's copying the whole spreadsheet. Don't just copy one of the worksheets or anything of that kind. You need a whole separate copy. And do keep hold of the original that was sent to you so that you've got a reference that is comparable with other counties. What you then do is you make changes to the worksheet in that spreadsheet called the LA Base Case Data Worksheet. Now, that worksheet, as explained in one of the earlier videos, feeds the base case in all of the other scenario worksheets. So what you have to do, first of all, is to refresh the base case results in all those other worksheets. That base case data then gets copied down into the scenario sections of those other worksheets, but you have to refresh those as well. Lastly, you do have the option to revise or add scenarios of your own. You can simply make copies of any of the scenario worksheets, give them a name of your own, and run the same sensitivities as you do for the standard scenarios that we've set up. But that's entirely optional. Now, what will happen when you've made those changes is that the summary sheet of the spreadsheet will update itself to reflect all of these changes. You shouldn't need to do anything else to change the summary sheet. It should simply read what it needs from the scenario worksheets. Now, just a reminder of the worksheets that are in this file. The first worksheet is a short explanation of how the spreadsheet works. The second worksheet is that summary I just mentioned about, which does the comparison of all the scenarios against the base case results. Worksheet 3 is the base case data, which we're now going to modify to reflect whatever you want it to reflect for your particular local authority. And then worksheets 4 to 11 are the variety of scenario worksheets that we set up. So this is the base case data worksheet that we've explained in one of the previous videos. And the places where you are going to make changes are, first of all, in that top left-hand block. You are able to change the assumptions about future changes to fee rates and payer mix. The left block of cells in that highlighted area concerns residential homes. The right block of cells concerns nursing homes. And the values in grey in that section are the base case projections for what fee rates would do and what will happen to the payer mix in each case. As I mentioned in the introduction to this video, the base case assumption is that self-funder fee rates and local authority fee rates will both increase by 2% per annum steadily from 2014 going forward. And that is in comparison with cost rates, which are rising at 3% per annum. The other assumption in that section is that the mix of who pays for what proportion of care in care homes remains the same as it is in 2014. So if 25% of places in residential homes in 2014 were paid for by residents themselves, then that same 25% will roll forward all the way through to 2025. So you can change those assumptions in that part of this spreadsheet. The other part of the spreadsheet that you can change concerns the care needs for each of the age groups in your area. And again, it's in grey because the numbers going forward from 2014 simply assume the same mix of care needs for each age group as applied in 2014. Now, there are many other parts of this worksheet, but mostly these are not possible for you to change, or they don't make any difference if you do. The block in the lower part of this screenshot shows the future operating cost assumptions. Now, you could change those, but those have been based on consistent operating cost inflation rates going forward. As I say, you can change them, but we recommend that you don't. The other part of the spreadsheet over here on the lower left concerns the number of homes and places, both residential places and nursing home places. Now, the only numbers that are actually used by the model are from 2005 to 2014. The numbers going forward are calculated by the model, so there isn't any point in changing any of those numbers in that part of this base case. The section upper right concerns the building costs for opening new homes or adding rooms and the required rates of return for providers if they're to consider adding homes or rooms. So it's unlikely that you'll want to change those assumptions either. So if you want to change the base case assumptions concerning fee rates, the payer mix, or the care needs of each age group, those grey text areas of the base case worksheet is where you do it. And you can modify those numbers in any way you like. You can assume a different inflation rate for fees, for example. You could change 2% to 1%. Or you could say, well, actually, next year we're planning to cut our fees by 5%, and from then it'll go up by 1%. It might, of course, be useful to remind yourself that you've done that, so maybe change the text colour or otherwise highlight any of the cells or the 2015 to 25 numbers that you've actually changed. Now, when you make those changes in the base case data worksheet, they are referenced by all of the scenario worksheets that lie behind it. So the base case data you just changed in the base case data worksheet will now be automatically referenced in the base case section of every one of the scenario worksheets. Now that input data is in the blue section of this worksheet. Furthermore, the scenario itself will take those adjusted base case data and will make whatever modifications are necessary to reflect that scenario and produce the input values in the blue rows at the lower part of this worksheet. However, you haven't actually calculated the results. How to do that, you first of all have to select the base case refresh cell at the upper left of the base case part of this worksheet. That's the magic cell which allows the Sysdea model to run and give you the results that then are reported in the green rows. Secondly, you have to update the scenario results as well. So select the red highlighted refresh cell for that part of the worksheet, and once again in the Scenario menu click the refresh button, and that will update all the results in the green rows of this worksheet. Finally, you just need to check the charts at the top of this worksheet, which should have changed to reflect both the changes that you made to your own base case data and also the impact that that's had on the corresponding scenario. Once again, if you've got any queries about any of this, queries about the data itself or the results, you can pass to Langwison. But if you have questions about the model and how it works and how the spreadsheet relates to the model, by all means contact us directly.